At 1:47, where's that sunshine? Hoping for it to break through in time for the long Natal Day weekend. Welcome back to the program. Our next guest has been speaking out over some of the research projects that are being done within the boundaries of the Minas Basin in the Bay of Fundy. It's an issue that has launched a lawsuit, a court challenge by the Bay of Fundy Inshore Fishermen's Association. They're looking to the top court in the province to overturn approval of a plan to deploy 2 experimental tidal turbines in the Minas Passage. Darren Porter joins us here on the phone line this afternoon. Darren Porter, thank you for coming on the radio with us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
What is your number one concern? What is it that you're worried about with these 2 turbines?
Well, it's the process. It's not tidal power that anybody's against, I don't think, myself included, because we actually helped them for many years. We have a very long history of working with the province and these people to actually make this the best it could be. Where we started standing out was when it started going awry and they started not following their own rules anymore.
What rules?
Well, they had back in 2007 they put out a paper saying where these things shouldn't go. Like, there was actually great intentions in the beginning to do this right. So there was like round tables, there was different things where public got to put in input way back then, and that stuff seemed to all disappear. So every time they found something they just that was wrong, say like a high percentage of illicit salmon, like 57%, using that site in a small detection window, that would have basically ended the use of that site. And every time they find something like that, they just shove it under the carpet and they move forward. It was supposed to be like a 3.2 megawatts, and it went to 4.4 maximum, and it went all the way up to 22 now. There's no, none of the promises are met where they promised at the beginning we're going to look after the environment. So when they look at the water, it's just a power source. That's all they see. When we look at the water, we see life. It's a fundamental difference, right?
This lawsuit, this intervention suggests that the Environment Minister, Margaret Miller, erred in law and acted unreasonably by authorizing this. What? Based on what? What is that? Do you know what that's based on?
Well, that's the inshore fishermen's lawsuit. That's not mine.
I understand.
That's not got nothing to do with me. That's another group that represents a lot of people, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not a member of that group, so it's hard for me to comment on that. Colin Sproul would probably be the best for that one. But basically, my gist of that situation is that same as ours up here, we see the problems. We see the fact that they haven't kept their word. They're not doing this responsibly. I mean, the tidal power is a great idea, but it's got to be done right. And that's basically, I think, what they're saying too. They want the baseline done, because without baselines, like, they're asking for like a better baselines and stuff like that, which is just common. That's just responsible. I mean, you need baselines to determine the effects on the ecosystem. The problem being is what's Fundy Forest and these companies, his goal seems to be to demonstrate that there's going to be no effect on that site. And by doing that, they don't have any way to tell effects. And the ways that they do have to tell effects they're not using. For example, the Gaspro meeting this week, they got reported basically these are low-income fishermen. So people say, well, they're insignificant compared to the benefits of tidal energy. Well, that's not the reason that the Gaspro people should be looking at the Gaspro fishery. The Gaspro fishery has the only model that exists that actually could determine effects right now in existence for tidal power. That's the benefit of that fisheries. It's not monetary per se. It is to those people that actually fish that river. That's very important to them. But people should be looking at the real reason that fishery should be held up and should have been dealt with long ago, because they actually have a model. It's the only one in existence by DFO. It's a collaboration between DFO and MARA and Nova Scotia Power and the fishery have made a model to make that river. So it's the only thing actually right now that could tell effects for these turbines that I know of, right?
So what you're saying is this is an opportunity that the power utility, that the Fishermen's Association, the fishermen themselves, could help us understand what the effects are?
Yeah, exactly. And they've offered. For years that association has tried to be involved. They've asked, they requested, I've asked for them. I got that in writing. And we wanted them involved because they do have that model. And then, of course, they also have a relationship with America on a different issue, or Nova Scotia Power, which is actually the power dam. They're the only fishery that actually has a relationship with these people, and they never got met until Monday. So that's actually quite telling to the situation. If you have a relationship with a company, and you have a model that is the only model that could tell effects of these, and you've never been dealt with until this week, that should tell the public a lot of things.
On the line with us here this afternoon, Darren Porter. He's a fisherman, and he is concerned with. Am I right to say you're not concerned with the 2 turbines? You're concerned with the others that will be added?
No, I'm concerned with the 2 turbines. I'm concerned with the site selection for sure. These 2 turbines, I'm very concerned with them because the site is not appropriate.
Why isn't it appropriate? What is it about that site that you say it's not appropriate?
It's proven to have way too much life on it. So if you're going to put something in the path of that much life and not properly monitor it, that's actually a big problem. So they don't have the ability to properly monitor the site, and that's a fact. I mean, you look at the DFO's response to them, it's full of holes. They can't actually tell the difference between a salmon or which is a serralicid species in a shed right now. Like, so if a salmon hit these, which is a high percentage of salmon in that area, and that very corridor is actually the corridor for Inner Bay of Fundy Atlantic salmon, right? So they can't tell if they're killing them. So they can't see if they killed anything on that site because they've proven it cannot be monitored properly with the technology we have today. So if that site can't be monitored properly, should we be using that site? Should we not find a site that could be monitored properly so we can do this responsibly? That's basically the underlying problem, right?
I've been in this province for a long time, been in this business for quite some time, and I don't remember too many times that DFO and fishermen were in agreement with a lot of facts. So you feel DFO's kind of dropped the ball on this?
No, actually, I feel like DFO's stepped up to the plate. Actually, the opposite. Well, maybe you could say that in the past, but recently, if you actually look at what they put out, the new EMP recommendations, it's not them that signs off on it, it's environment for one. And you look at their review of the monitoring program, I mean, that's pretty telling to how DFO sees this. DFO sees this as a problem the same as the fishermen do, and the same as other groups do. Like, even First Nations, they see it, everybody sees it as a problem. It's not just fishermen. I mean, there's not too many groups actually right now that are standing there waving a flag saying, this is great, I don't know any, actually.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, other than the companies that are involved, and the Minister of Environment, who gave approval for this test project to go ahead.
Well, exactly, and that's actually a big problem right now. So, I mean, that talks a big talk on where a province is standing on these environmental issues. I mean, right now we're basically giving them a license to kill, and it's to kill 365 days a year, with no monitoring, and the effects fall upon the ecosystem and the existing stakeholders, and that is the situation. Now, we're not against, I don't know too many stakeholders are even against tidal power, which is the misconception. But there's machinery out there that can be built that actually probably wouldn't affect anything. There's sites out there that would probably be very, very acceptable for these turbines. But we've proven the Minas Patches is not that site. So at some point, the plug's got to be full. Then we got to move to another place. Like, we've got to find a place where this would actually work, and we've been willing to work. We have a track record of working, a few of us. The very few fishermen that were ever allowed to be involved in this, and there's just a handful. And I mean a handful. I can count them on my fingers. And we all offered our assistance. We all helped. I helped for years free of charge. I never charged them a cent. But when it really sours, when they stop worrying about the environment.
I guess some would ask, though, what is the evidence to say that these things will kill fish?
Well, we have the evidence of axial flow hydraulic lift turbines are known to kill. Back in the 60s, actually, they said they couldn't kill any fish. We now prove that with Annapolis isn't true. If the turbine itself is the same technology as what's in Annapolis within reason, it's an axial flow hydraulic turbine. We know they kill. You can't even argue that anymore. They say walking speed. Well, try to get them to say that again, actually. Get them on a show. Try to get one single person to say that again, because we know that's not true. We've done that. We did more science on the speeds of these and the effects of these than actually Force has. So we have scientists working for us, or working with us, or working beside us, whatever you want to put it. We figured out the amount of fish that will be killed by these turbines, like the strike potential. We've got the random models done for interactions. I mean, why haven't they done that? Like, why haven't they gone to the Gaspereau River people and said, we need your model, let's work with you to determine its facts? Because they don't want to. Their goal is not to determine effects. Their goal is to determine there is no effects. It's a big difference.
Well, Darren Porter, thank you. I'm glad we were able to connect and talk about this. And of course, this conversation is not over yet, and we'll pick it up again sometime in the future.
All right, thank you.
All the best to you, Darren Porter. Thanks. Okay, so not against power generation through tide. Not against it, but just with this particular technology. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn a little more about this and talk a little more about that. Or perhaps these two turbines will do like the last ones and just self-destruct because they weren't built strong enough. What was that one engineer we had on who said, "No, there's lots of examples of bad engineering." All right, 1:57, almost 1:58. We've got a news update.